What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this angle of the book, because this book is over 1,000 pages long, and I'm halfway through the book, showing this particular angle of the book. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I got to do a injustice. I got to make an injustice right. I got to make a justice out of an injustice situation. Because yesterday, I was talking about the first African-American fighter to win a title, George Dixon, Little Chocolate. But I didn't talk about him, not much at all. I put him in with Terry McGovern because I was covering Terry McGovern, and I put in George Chocolate, but I didn't give him any justice. And can't do that. Gotta represent properly. So salute to Little Chocolate, George Dixon. Had over 1,000 fights. They were not sanctioned, but he had at least over 1,000 fights in his career. Little Chocolate. I want to salute to the Blood Boxing, brought it to my attention. So I'm just going to get a little bit into this. Little Chocolate Dixon. Tom O'Rourke talks about his protege. So Tom O'Rourke was the manager of George Dixon, greatest featherweight champion of all time. Some of his early battles, which won him 2 world championship titles. Sully Seaman gave him the hardest fight of his career. Began boxing and pugilism in Boston. Then acquired the Bantamweight crown, favorite and popular wherever he appeared. Now, I'm only going to show you this one page. Like I said, this entire book is packed with African-American fighters, the entire book. So about 1,002 pages full. Nothing but African-American fighters, all Police Gazette. And the reason I'm only showing you the one page is because I'm having problems being harassed by all these brokers trying to get a hold of this. So I'm just going to show the one page, because if I show more in this scene, it's going to be even worse. So let me just go through them a little bit. Here you can see Walcott. This is Barbados Demon Joe Walcott. I went through his career already. So let's see. Get to a point where I can really make this out. I picked George up in Boston way back in the 1800s, said Tom the other evening. Focus this a little better. He was only a preliminary boxer at the time. And what a champion he developed into. Dixon was the only fighter, white or black, I have ever known to be grateful, in or out of the ring. He was the most unamusing fighter the game has ever known. Y'all gotta excuse me because I'm reading this through a camera that doesn't have a prescription lens, and I can't see that well with my glasses through the camera with the lens. I don't know, it's real weird. So I'm trying to do the best I can. So if I stumble over a word, that's why I show receipts all the time. Please forgive me, just kind of follow along. In his long career of fighting, George held 2 championships, the bantamweight and featherweight. He won the American bantamweight title from Kyle McCarthy. Kyle McCarthy was a very good fighter. The champion on February 7th, 1890, just 2 years after coming under my management. I took George to England in the same year and matched him with Nance Wallace, champion of England, at the Old Pelican Club of London, which is now the world-famous London Sporting Club. They fought June 27th, and Dixon knocked the English champion out in 18 rounds after a vicious fight. Dixon, by the way, was the first man to take the English championship out of the country in any branch of athletics. Now, George Dixon was the first person, whether he's African American or white, to take the title of any kind, whether it's baseball, whatever sports that were around at that time, out of the country. He's the only person, first one that's ever done that. In any country, whether it's the United States, wherever, he was the first one. Salute to George Dixon for that. George's last important fight was at Bantamweight. He held at the Old California AC on July 28, 1891. In that battle, he knocked out A. Willis of Australia in 5 rounds and became undisputed bantamweight champion of the world. Little Chocolate began to experience difficulties in making the weight, so I decided to fight him in the future as a featherweight. Dixon laid claim to the, let's see. All right, it's another quote. George was at the height of his career when the fight took place at the Old Coney Island Club, September 25th, 1893. Okay, so this is when he was fighting Sully Smith. Smith had been coming like a house fire. He was a little swanty, chunky, two-handed fighter who looked somewhat like a small edition of Matty Baldwin. Now, Matty Baldwin was a very good fighter. He beat Johnny Griffith, who was a great rival of Dixon's, and also Johnny Van Heest, a corky good boy at that time. Out in the West, and particularly in Chicago, there arose a demand for a Dixon-Smith rematch. A Chicago club even went so far as to offer us a purse of $10,000 for a meeting between the boys. But neither of them was over anxious to fight in Chicago. I tried to get Judge Newton, who ran the Coney Island Club in the Horton Laws days, to meet the $10,000 Chicago purse, but he refused. So I made him an offer to work on the protege's basis, accepting 50%. Wow, so here we go. Of the gross receipts and guaranteeing the boys a purse of $10,000 to be split 75%. 75. So who gets 25 and who gets 75? To the winner. Okay, so the winner would get 75. The winner would split 75%. So I guess the winner would get 50 and the loser would get 25%. Right, so 25%, okay, got it, to the loser. Judge agreed to this proposition. And so the Dixon-Smith bout went down in the annals of the ring as the first fight ever held in this country on a percentage basis. Interesting. Although Smith had been taunted as a two-handed scrapper, he seemed to use his right the most during the first round. Much of Dixon's amusement, Minister Tom said George in his corner at the end of the round. The rest put George in shape for the third and with a watchful eye on that left hand. He beat Smith to a pulp. In this seventh round, he shocked him cold, or he knocked him cold with a right to the jaw. An unusual punch for Dixon to use as his favorite was a long left. So he loved the left jab to the stomach. Awkward made famous by Bob Fitzsimmons as a solar plexus punch. So ended the hardest fight of George Dixon. Quadmaster Tom, that boy can hit, said George after the bout. There was $25,000 in the house, so I came out handsomely on my percentage virtue. So they got 75%. I wonder how much George Dixon actually received. I took George on the road with several theatrical productions, meeting all comers, and 4-round bouts. So this is how this 1,000 fights that I read about came about. He was doing a lot of backyard boxing, 4 rounds, 6 rounds. George was considerate of white boys who boxed with him in these affairs, and often would let one stay on the limit. So he would carry a couple of fighters, but would eventually wear the life out of any colored youngster who mingled with him. He would say, "You can't trust them coons, no how. They is always looking to slip one over on you." Taken in all, Dixon was the best man I have ever seen in the ring. He was clever, aggressive, and could hit. What more can I ask for in a fighter? So that was Tom O'Rourke talking about the fighter that he managed, George Dixon. So I just wanted to read that little article to y'all. Salute to George Dixon. I accept him in my Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. First African American champion. First fighter to take a champion out of London. Outstanding personality. Great fighter. Salute to George Dixon. This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Salute.